don't make the same mistakes every goalie makes. What I wanted to focus on today was what we call majoring in the minors. Now, I made some notes, but most of it's going to be freestyling this. So, as a goalie, we're constantly fine tuning things, we're tweaking, we're adjusting. That's part of being an athlete. However, are we focusing on the right things? Now, too many goalies get caught up in the minute details, and the minute details of things that are basically useless. Things like, all my toe ties, or my tape on my stick, or what's the fun one? Like goalies are like hyper fixated on the glove position. Is my glove, should my glove be here or here? And am I presenting big enough? And all these different things. And honestly, the focus on those causes goalies to ignore the big picture things, that big picture habits that create success. So when majoring in the minors, what this means again is just obsessing over the small details while ignoring the things that actually move the needle forward. Now, if you're watching this and you go through all the way, you're probably like me and you're probably really neurotic and you're really detail oriented. That is awesome. However, we cannot let that distract us from what actually drives progress. You see goalies that are changing their stance every single week. Am I too wide? Blaming performance on gear adjustments, or I did my strap four inlets in instead of 3 today, and that's why I wasn't good. This one drives me crazy. Just doing flashy drills that they see on the internet. That one drives me crazy. It's honestly, when it comes down to like what we are focusing on, it's the big picture fundamentals that we need. It is the tracking, it is the positioning, it is the play reading and IQ. That is what matters, and that is what is going to push the goalies forward. And until you get to the NHL is the highest. Until you get there, you don't have to worry that much about the minute details and the things, just like the tracking, the crease movement and skating. I don't know how many times I get goalies and they're just not good skaters, and instead they want to work on RVH hinges and stuff. I'm like, well, you're just not a good skater right now. So we need to focus on that first, because if you're not able to get in position on a rush play, I don't care about what your RVH looks like. It's understanding these things, game situations, just understanding the play. That is probably what North American goalies, where I see the biggest kind of, the biggest gap in our development. Well, there's a lot, but honestly, it's the IQ, because we like to do so many like structured games. And I had this conversation with a goalie coach the other day, and he was talking about one of his goalies, and everything, he looks in drills, he looks so good, so crisp, so clean. And he gets to the game, all of a sudden he's trying to make saves across his body, and he's giving up goals, and his depth is wrong, and all these things. And I just said, like, how many game situation drills are you doing? And understanding that. I'd also put consistency and mental toughness as one. Can you handle your emotions? Are you focused when it comes to practice? Are you focused when it comes to games? Like, that's a big picture thing, and that shouldn't be overlooked. And then we'll talk about this one a little bit more in the off-season sort of segment of videos, but proper recovery, training, recovery and training, those things, if those aren't dialed in, then you're not going to be the best athlete or the best goalie you can be. And so we'll put that there. In business, let me pull this up, but in business, there's something called the 80-20 rule. And it was called the Pareto principle. And in business, we like to use it as, we look for the 20% of the things that provide 80% of the profit, essentially. And then from there, we kind of distill and whittle things away. Yeah, so like it says the Google definition is 80% of outcomes from 20% of the causes. And then from there we can cut stuff off. We can kind of trim the fat essentially. However, what I see in goaltending is this is often flipped. The 80% of things is the fundamentals, and the 20% is those minor adjustments, those flashy drills, those aesthetic things. The What turns out it's flipped, where goalies are putting 80% of their focus on those minor things because they think it's giving them an edge, and what's actually pushing the needle forward only gets 20% of the focus. A good example of this is we'll see goalies go on the internet and they'll see a drill and they're like, for example, a goalie is jumping over a stick with one leg and spinning backwards and doing a cartwheel. I don't know, I just made that up. And you think, and every goalie sees that, and you'll see a big goalie coach post that automatically, like, oh, I need to do this. This is important. This is the next thing. This is what I'm missing in my game. And it's like, well, one, the goalies demonstrating those drills are usually college, pro, high-level junior goalies. They have most of their basics settled in, so they can take the time to do kind of nonsense things just because it's fun to do nonsense things. Also, like a lot of times those nonsense things are just for fun. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to do a drill for fun, understanding that's fun and it's actually not really what you need to get better. So focus and then, comparing that. So sometimes like doing the boring, not sometimes, almost all the time, doing the boring, monotonous stuff is what you need because you're just not good at it yet. And that is okay. It is okay. I say this all the time. It's a lot of kids. It is okay to not be good at things. It's not okay to not do anything about it. Like no one's perfect at anything, especially when you're a young goalie watching this. Like I don't expect you to be good at them, but that's why we work on it all the time. That's my job as a goalie coach, is to work on those things with you. So, making sure that the focus is on the things that 80% of the goaltending, the positioning, the tracking, the IQ, that and the skating, that stuff is what needs like the most amount of work. All the other little details, you can worry about that after. If you have a good goalie coach, they should be tailoring your training as such. I know not everyone has access to a really good goalie coach. That brings us into today's sponsor, which is the EGM Labs app. I've talked about it all the time. Right now, it's currently available on desktop. iOS and Android are coming soon, I promise. This has thousands of hours of training drills, skating drills. Actually, probably the one thing I say is like every goalie that comes to me becomes a better skater because we do these types of drills. And now you have access to all these drills. And I'm really proud that all the goalies become better skaters, because I was just like an average professional level skater. I don't want that to be you. I want you to be great skaters. So there's almost 365. My goal is to have one for every day of the year. It just continues to grow. There's breakdowns, there's NHL clips, there's NHL analysis, there's drills. I add things to it almost daily. It's really awesome. So check it out. It's going to be in the description of this video. But check it out. It helps support me. It helps push things through, helps grow the type of content, the quality of content, and it makes you better. If you're willing to do the work, you will get better with the app. And so thank you for EGM Labs for being the sponsor of the newsletter. So ultimately with things, just if you have a goalie coach that you can ask these questions to, it's important. If you are skating with a goalie coach and they're not really focused on the big picture things, I'd have that discussion with them. I don't want to say like, oh, abandon your goalie coach. Have that discussion with them and say like, am I a good skater? Am I a good tracker? Am I good? Like, how is my play reading ability? Have you watched my games? They should be able, if they're good at what they do, they should be able to give you honest answers and that kind of stuff. And then once you get to the highest levels, honestly, once you get to professional hockey, then we can really start to worry about the fluff. Even my junior college goalies, like we do the simple things. Honestly, in the NHL, pretty simple and boring. It actually doesn't matter what NHL goalies do. This is the biggest, not a facade, but the biggest misconception is that everyone thinks that like, what are the NHL goalies doing? They must be doing something crazy. Well, no, because they're part of the 64 best goalies in the world. Like, what they've already done the work. So anything that they do now is just extra. It's honestly usually confidence building. That's why honestly being an NHL goalie coach, other than, you know, the status and you get paid decently and you get to live the NHL lifestyle. Other than that, like, you don't actually do a whole lot. The drills aren't that fun. Like, you know, you just kind of build confidence for the goalies, and you're a mentor rather than having to coach, because you just have the best goalies in the world at your fingertips. You don't really do anything. And so remember, like, all the real coaching happens from day 0 up until consistent NHL goalie. Everything in between, that is the time for all that work. That is when that work needs to take place. And that is where I'm assuming everyone here is. If you are a full-time NHL goalie, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. But that's where everyone is. And so that's where that most, that 80% takes place. That 20% will be a little bit towards the end, as you started gradually graduate into high-level junior hockey and college and beyond. And then we can do different bits and pieces and like trying to find little hidden things that might make a difference. But that's kind of the long and the short of it. So ultimately, stop obsessing over the small details. Tracking, movement, positioning, skating, IQ, the most important things. And then again, you can, if you want to audit your game, you can use like an 80-20 rule, or audit your training as well. Probably the best way to put it, 80-20 rule. You know, train smarter, not harder. Train smart and hard. I don't like that saying. Train smart and hard. Train smart and hard. And, you know, try not to major in the minors. Really focus on the big picture things that are going to push your game forward. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See everyone next week.